Hello, and welcome to another economic and industry update presented by Greenbrier's marketing team. I'm Mallory Moran, and I'm joined by Jay Carter. Let's start with a look into the overall economy. Jay, what are you seeing?
Thanks, Mallory, and welcome all. So overall, the U.S. economy experienced deceleration compared to the prior quarter. Real gross domestic product, reflecting all goods and services produced, grew at an annualized rate of just 1.6% in the first quarter. Now, the culprit here is consumer spending, which decreased to about 2.5% from the previous quarter's 3.3%.
Now, what about interest rate cuts? Can we expect those to turn the economy around anytime soon?
The Federal Reserve is expected to consider rate cuts once they are assured that inflation is contained and aligned with their 2% target. And that could start as soon as the third quarter of 2024 or the first quarter of 2025. But the central bank's primary inflation measure, which is the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, has shown consistent monthly increases throughout 2024. So those cuts are far from guaranteed.
How are the unemployment figures? Don't those factor into the Fed's decision about interest rates as well?
You're right. Higher levels of unemployment can motivate the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates. But since August 2023, the unemployment rate has stayed within the fairly narrow range of about 3.6, 3.7% to 3.9%. Essentially, the employment gains in April mirror those seen in 2019, indicating a robust labor market recovery compared to pre-COVID levels. Now, there is good news in manufacturing, however. In March, the Purchasing Managers Index improved to 50.3%, which indicates solid expansion in the manufacturing sector.
Now, let's transition to the rail industry. Recently, the industry reported first quarter railcar orders, delivery, and backlog. Orders were up about 41% from just over 4,000 cars in the fourth quarter of 23. The industry delivered about 11,000 railcars in the quarter, slightly above last quarter's figure. The backlog now stands at about 46,000 railcars, down about 11% from last quarter. Jay, help us put these industry numbers into context. What are you seeing in rail loadings?
Yes, severe weather created a soft start to 2024, but rail volumes rebounded actually pretty well for the most part. Total North American rail volumes are up 2% year to date, well above last year's level and matching the 5-year average. Intermodal loadings in particular have been outperforming in response to a spike in diesel prices, as well as a surge in international loadings with 9% growth. But keep in mind, though, that this is also a reflection of easier comparisons from last year. Containers, cars, chemicals, and crude oil, kind of those four C's, continue to be the bright spots of rail traffic and related rail car demand through 2024.
Since our last update, the biggest headline in the shipping world has been the collapse of the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore. How do you expect this to impact rail traffic?
I don't expect the Key Bridge collapse to have much effect on overall supply chains as nearby ports absorbs the volume, right? However, this event underscores the importance to secure strong supply chains with an alternative option that can pivot at a moment's notice. For instance, the global congestions in the Panama and Suez canals is still impacting North American intermodal volumes with more international containers moving to West Coast ports. Now, that market shift may necessitate additional intermodal rail cars before the holiday rush season if the trend holds.
That's great to keep in mind. What about service?
Yes, network fluidity picked up from last year on increased train, engine, and yard headcount as the network finally recovered from the East Palestine train derailment. Class 1 rail average train velocity is up almost 1% year over year, while average terminal dwell is down 4% year over year through April.
Any final thoughts, Jay?
Railcar delivery forecasts remain below the industry replacement threshold of 40,000 units annually due to muted carload outlook and inflation-driven new railcar prices. FTR Associates has projected that the industry will deliver about 38,000 units in 2024 and 34,000 units in 2025. However, the outlook does not include any retrofit, rebody, or recertification activity. So we expect that there is greater upside potential to their current forecast, and it provides a smooth baseline of deliveries through the railcar cycle.
Thanks, Jay, and thank you all for watching. We hope you found this video informative. Be sure to tune in to next quarter's edition.